Chapter 741. Dedicated Meditation. Jian Wushuang was quietly meditating on the secret skill in front of the 3 stone tablets. The Star of a Secret skill consisted of 34 levels. It was easy to reach the elementary levels. Even the clansmen who had not awakened the bloodline were able to master level 1 or level 2. However, the further they went, the harder it became. In the entire clan, few had been able to reach level 20. As for the Scarlet Eye secret skill and the mind-controlling secret skill, it was difficult for the ancient gods to meet the requirements. Some powerful clansmen, and even some gold-armored ancient gods, would spend 10 years or even 100 years meditating on the 2 skills if they wanted to reach level 1. Jian Wushuang possessed the imperial bloodline. If he had remained a skyscraping realm expert who had the highest understanding, it would have been easier for him to meditate on the 2 skills. But now, he was a divine realm expert, whose understanding was weaker. It took him 5 years to start getting the hang of the Scarlet Eye secret skill. Then he spent 8 years reaching the elementary levels of the mind-controlling secret skill. And as for the Star River secret skill, it only took him half a month to master level 10. In the ancient god clan, 1-star ancient gods were only able to reach level 10 of the Star River secret skill. After keeping the 3 secret skills manuals in his mind, Jian Wushuang decided to leave. Jian Wushuang. The moment he stepped out of the Black Pavilion, Jian Wushuang immediately saw Elder Yi sitting on the ground. Elder Yi. Jian Wushuang bowed to the elder. "How's it going with the 3 secret skills?" Elder Yi asked. "Not bad. I've reached level 10 of the Star River secret skill and elementary levels of the other 2 skills," Jian Wushuang replied honestly. "What? So fast?" Elder Yi was astonished, but soon calmed himself. Then, he said with a smile, "You're worthy of possessing the imperial bloodline. Your understanding is excellent." Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang smiled. But actually, he was not satisfied with his achievements. His talents in comprehension became weaker than before after he reached the deification realm. If he had been in the skyscraping realm, he would have only spent 3 years on the 2 last secret skills. As for how to use the 3 skills, you can ask some ancient gods in the ancient god palace. They'll help you, Elder Yi added. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. He had planned to stay in the ancient god palace. "I have lived in the eternal zone for more than 90 years. In 7 years, this zone will open again, then I'll leave for the firmament territory. So, I can stay in the ancient god palace to enhance my strength until then." Jian Wushuang made up his mind. He would live in the ancient god palace for 7 years. There were numerous powerful clansmen in the ancient god palace. Although Jian Wushuang was unable to fight against them, he was raring to go. The clansmen of the ancient god clan were born militant, as was Jian Wushuang. Therefore, Jian Wushuang started to challenge his clansmen. Time flew by in the eternal zone. During that period of time, he had fought many clansmen in the ancient god palace. Although he rarely won the fights, Jian Wushuang had never lost heart and kept challenging more clansmen. He also gained a lot from his abject failures. 7 years passed by. On the top floor of a towering pagoda, Jian Wushuang quietly sat cross-legged under an ancient copper bell, with his eyes closed and a faint smile on his face. He suddenly shook, and a surge of overwhelming aura radiated out. Star River secret skill, level 11 is complete. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes, which shone with excitement. He had reached level 10 7 years ago and improved his offensive power by 30 times. He had been practicing the Star River secret skill over the past 7 years. Now, he finally made it to level 11 and gained another 3-fold increase. The Star River secret skill was restricted to ancient god's realm. When Jian Wushuang was a skyscraping realm expert before he had awakened his bloodline, he was capable of mastering the first 3 levels of this skill. As for his clansmen, who had not become 1-star ancient gods, they could reach level 3 at the most. Level 10 of the Star River secret skill would be the limit for the 1-star ancient gods. The strongest 1-star ancient gods, even the gold-armored ancient gods, could only reach level 10. No one had made it to level 11. However, Jian Wushuang succeeded. This was the particularity of the deification realm. His strength was limitless in that realm. Therefore, he was able to reach level 11. He would progress to level 12 or 13, as he had great potential. Jian Wushuang. A bold voice was heard before a bald man glided in from afar. Jian Wushuang addressed him. Ji Yu Heng. The bald man was named Ji Yu Heng, who was a powerful 2-star ancient god. Although he was a silver-armored ancient god, few gold-armored ancient gods could match him. Jian Wushuang had sparred with him more than once, but he had suffered a crushing defeat every time. Time is up. Elder Yi asked me to tell you that the outsiders are about to arrive, Ji Yu Heng said. Finally, it's time for me to show up. Jian Wushuang raised his head, his eyes shining with killing intent. Chapter 742. 100 Years Arrives. Elder Yi. Jian Wushuang bowed to the elder in front of the black pavilion. Elder Yi looked at the boy with a faint smile while asking, "Are you ready to fight the outsiders?" "Yes, I am." Jian Wushuang nodded. "Although they don't have much strength, they have superb skills. You should go to fight them, but you have to be careful because the outsiders are interested in our essence blood, so it will be an all-out fight if you do encounter them." "Okay." Jian Wushuang nodded again. "As a militant warrior, you have experienced such fights many times before, so I won't need to remind you more about it. Here's something for you." Elder Yi waved his hand and threw a wilted yellow leaf to the boy. Jian Wushuang received it and immediately felt the terrifying power contained within it. "Elder Yi, what is it?" Jian Wushuang asked with a confused look. "This leaf can save your life. Your imperial bloodline is important to us, so I don't dare to risk your life." Elder Yi responded with a faint smile. "This leaf contains my finger power. If you're in danger, just tear it." "Thank you, Elder Yi." Jian Wushuang expressed his appreciation with a flicker of delight in his heart. It was clear to him that Elder Yi was really a 3-star ancient god, even superior to a human Dao master, so the power of his finger would be a brilliant weapon. "I've ordered Ji Yu Heng to go with you. If you have any problem, just ask him." Elder Yi waved his hand. Jian Wushuang nodded and then left. Ji Yu Heng had been waiting outside of the ancient god palace. Seeing Jian Wushuang approaching, Ji Yu Heng stepped forward and said with a smile, "Jian Wushuang, we'll work together this time." Jian Wushuang smiled and asked, "Ji Yu Heng, have you fought an outsider?" "Of course I have," Ji Yu Heng replied. "The outsiders invade our homeland every 100 years, so our clan arranges some clansmen to fight them. Aside from ordinary 2-star ancient gods from the 10 big tribes, our clan sometimes dispatches 1 or 2 clansmen from the ancient god palace. I have fought the outsiders 3 times, so this is my 4th crusade." "Oh really?" Jian Wushuang understood. "Right, you haven't brawled with the outsides, have you? Their strength is poor, but they have amazing skills." Ji Yu Heng started to talk about the outsiders. Jian Wushuang listened attentively, but he felt inwardly aggrieved. Because after all, he also came from the outside world and could be regarded as an outsider. Therefore, he had a better understanding of the skills of the human experts than Ji Yu Heng did. Shortly after, they arrived at the Great Mountains, which stretched out for thousands of miles. They were called the Xianxia Mountains. Due to their years of experience, the clansmen from the ancient god clan knew that the outsiders would appear at any corner of the mountains, so they waited there. Hundreds of 2-star ancient gods were standing close by in the void. They all came from the 10 tribes. Aside from a few powerful ones, most of them were mediocre. Ji Yu Xiu, who had saved Jian Wushuang once, was considered the strongest among the group of 2-star ancient gods. At this point, they gathered in 2s and 3s and were chatting with each other. "I heard that the ancient god palace will send someone here. As we all know, only gold-armored ancient gods or real supreme clansmen are qualified to enter the ancient god palace, so every one of them is far superior to us. I wonder which one will come here." The 2-star ancient gods were looking forward to it. The ancient god clan paid more attention to strength and bloodline. Many clansmen dreamed of having access to the ancient god palace. At this point, 2 figures glided over from afar. "Finally! 2 masters are coming." The 2-star ancient gods widened their eyes. Those two figures quickly appeared in front of them. The two-star ancient gods were a bit surprised when they saw the bald man. Jiyu Heng, Master Jiyu Heng. Wow, Master Jiyu Heng came here. Jiyu Heng will personally fight the outsiders. Do they have any chance to survive? The two-star ancient gods obviously knew about Jiyu Heng's strength, so they were shocked. However, the moment they noticed the young man beside Jiyu Heng, they all wore odd expressions on their faces. 1 star? A 1-star ancient god? Are you kidding me? He definitely came to the wrong place. A 1-star ancient god should go to the outer layer and fight with those so-called divine realm experts. Upon hearing this, Jian Wushuang gave them a wry smile, as he had foreseen that they would have such a reaction. After all, he was only a 1-star ancient god. Even though he came from the ancient god palace, his level did not convince them. Jian Wushuang, it seems that you'll have to prove yourself. Jiyu Heng teased him. Jian Wushuang shrugged his shoulders with resignation. Okay, listen up, this is Jian Wushuang. Although he is just a 1-star ancient god, his strength is far superior to most of ours. Jiyu Heng introduced him in a resonant voice. As for this fight with the outsiders, we will be your commanders, so you have to follow our orders over the next 10 days, understand? Understood, chorused the 2-star ancient gods. Although they responded in a loud voice, Jian Wushuang could tell that they still doubted his strength from their unnatural expressions. Chapter 743, The Eternal Zone Reopens. The clansmen from the ancient god clan assembled while the experts and divine realm disciples from all the sects gathered in the void over an ancient forest outside of the Eternal Zone. The three magnates Xianxia Guard, Immortal Dynasty, and Boundless Demon Sect also dispatched many experts. Although Xianxia Guard had lost 7 Eternal Realm experts, who were killed by the furious Xianxia, it had not suffered seriously as this magnate was full of brilliant experts. 2 Eternal Realm experts had emerged in Xianxia Guard over the past 100 years. One of them was Wu Dao, who had been set up by Jian Wushuang and had to make a great effort to save his life. That narrow escape had probably stimulated his potential. And once he returned to Xianxia Guard, Wu Dao spent 70 years in closed-door cultivation until he made a breakthrough to the Eternal Realm. Now, as a supreme expert in the firmament territory, he looked energetic and confident. Wu Dao, it's your first time going into the inner layer of the Eternal Zone, so you should be careful. Unlike those in the outer layer, the demon gods in the inner layer are more powerful than us. Although they have a limited understanding of the Tao, it's not easy for us to take the baptismal pools from them. You've just reached the Eternal Realm, so you're not strong enough to fight against them. After you arrive there, go to find other elders as soon as possible. If you collaborate to fight them, you might be able to pull it off. A barefoot elder with a tender face and white hair urged Wu Dao, who nodded in agreement and did not dare to disobey his order. The experts from the other sects looked at the barefoot elder with a flicker of terror in their eyes. Eventually, an Eternal Realm expert from the Mortal Dynasty who could not suppress his curiosity asked, Yun Fan, I didn't expect that you'd personally come here. Are you going to take more baptismal pools for your people? Yun Fan was the great elder of Xianxia Guard, second only to Xianxia, who was known as the most powerful Eternal Realm expert in the firmament territory. He was also the only Eternal Realm expert who had become a silver-armored demon god through the demon god baptismal pool. Therefore, there was no need for him to enter the Eternal Zone. Acquiring one more baptismal pool would be useless to him unless he grabbed it for the other experts. Whether I go into the Eternal Zone or not is none of your business. Yun Fan looked around with a frosty expression. Perceiving his sharp eyes, the other experts did not dare to say anything further. In fact, Yun Fan was drowning in conflicting emotions. He was reluctant to enter the Eternal Zone. As the Eternal Realm expert from the Immortal Dynasty said, it was not appealing to him. He had to show up here because of the order of his palace master. Xianxia Guard had lost 7 of their Eternal Realm experts 100 years ago, which was a great loss for the sect. It was nearly impossible for human warriors to change into demon gods by using a baptismal pool, but 3 baptismal pools were enough, so the palace master of Xianxia Guard asked Yun Fan to head to the Eternal Zone and snatch at least 3 baptismal pools to improve the strength of their Eternal Realm experts. A glum elder from the Boundless Demon sect was inconspicuously standing nearby. He was An Chao, who had crazily hunted Jian Wushuang and forced him to escape into the inner layer. An Chao was also terrified of Yun Fan. The old monster actually came. I should be more careful. This brutal and heartless old guy might grab things by any means. The ancient sect had sent 9 Eternal Realm experts here, one more than the last time. Palace Master Destruction was the strongest among the 9 experts. Last time, I was the only one to obtain a baptismal pool, though I failed to change into a demon god. This time, we have to take more pools, Palace Master Destruction said. Okay. His comrades nodded in agreement. Soon after, 2 wormholes, which were respectively connected to the outer and inner layer, appeared in the sky. Upon seeing this, the expert's eyes lit up. Let's go. Ha ha, the Eternal Zone, I'm coming. Demon gods, wait for my killing. Numerous Eternal Realm experts instantly stepped into the wormhole while the Divine Realm disciples glided into the other access to the outer layer. After 100 years, the Eternal Zone had reopened. At the same time, in a white robe, Xianxia was sitting in a chair on the 2nd floor of the Sword Tower while watching a streak of light float over a long narrow table next to the wall. 100 years prior, this sword spark seemed faint, as if it would die out at any time. But now, it was extremely brilliant and dazzling. 100 years have finally passed. Xianxia said with a faint smile. It only took him less than 50 years to grow up to be a superior Divine Realm expert. Now, 100 years have passed. Which level has he reached? Let me have a look. Xianxia murmured with an enigmatic smile on his face. Chapter 744, Arrival. In the Xianxia Mountains, Ji Yuheng looked up to the void over his head, mumbling, "It's almost time, the outsiders are about to arrive." He immediately cried out to his people, "Ji Yu Mian, Ji Yu Wu." 2 clansmen walked over instantly. "You 2, stay with Jian Wushuang. The rest of you scatter and take action separately. Go." Ji Yuheng ordered in a resonant tone. Hundreds of 2-star clansmen immediately teamed up in 2s or 3s and glided in all directions. Ji Yu Mian and Ji Yu Wu appeared behind Jian Wushuang. Ji Yuheng looked over at Jian Wushuang, saying, "Most of the outsiders will join hands to attack us. You're good, but it's too dangerous to travel alone." Both Ji Yu Mian and Ji Yu Wu are 2-star silver-armored ancient gods. Their powers are not bad, comparable to the human warriors at Step 2 of the Eternal Realm. With them following you, they can be your helpers. Jian Wushuang nodded and asked, "What about you?" Ji Yuheng smiled and said with confidence, "Of course, I'll travel alone. The outsiders won't threaten me. Even if 4 or 5 outsiders attack me together, I'm able to defeat them by myself." Jian Wushuang shrugged. He had never doubted Ji Yuheng's strength. Over the past few years in the ancient god palace, he had fought with Ji Yuheng several times and had lost badly each time. "Okay, be careful. Don't underestimate those outsiders. I will leave first. Goodbye." Ji Yuheng reminded before he left. Only Jian Wushuang, Ji Yu Mian, and Ji Yu Wu remained standing there. "We should go too," Jian Wushuang said and then walked away. Ji Yu Mian and Ji Yu Wu looked at each other. Although they were unwilling to follow Jian Wushuang, they had to obey Ji Yuheng's order. Not long after the clansmen dispersed, the void above the Xianxia Mountains suddenly shook, and a surge of space waves spread out. "Is it coming?" Jian Wushuang raised his head with a flicker of delight in his eyes. "Master, shall we guard a baptismal pool or travel around to support others?" Ji Yu Mian suddenly asked. Jian Wushuang responded with a smile, "We'll take the second option for sure." The Xianxia Mountains was the main battlefield between the ancient gods and the experts from the Firmament territory. The mountains stretched for thousands of miles, and the ancient god clan intentionally set 100 baptismal pools in every nook of the mountains to attract experts from the Firmament territory to compete. The clansmen were scattered all over the mountains. Some of them would choose to guard the baptismal pool, waiting for the arrival of outsiders. The others would travel around to trace the outsiders or support other clansmen who were in fierce fights. In fact, It could be said that the attractive demon god baptismal pool was the bait the ancient god clan put down in order to train their own clansmen. The experts from the firmament territory realized it, but the baptismal pool was too irresistible that they would take the bait without hesitation. For the ancient god clan, it would be a great opportunity to fight fiercely with the various experts. After all, they had lived in peace for a long time, so they were raring to fight to the death. The outsiders have just arrived, so they will first get together, then collaborate to grab the baptismal pool. To duel with them, we have to wait for quite a while, Jiu Mion said. Right. Jian Wushuang nodded, his heart full of expectation. Just 2 hours later, buzz. A mighty power was transmitted towards the three of them. That is. Jian Wushuang and his clansmen all raised their heads while seeing strange power waves radiating in all directions. Jiu Mion's face darkened, and said, "This is an SOS from our clansmen. If I'm right, a baptismal pool is set in there." Jiu Wu added. "Oh, they've already started to attack." Jian Wushuang replied with a glitter of excitement on his face. In the Eternal Zone, it was impossible to use messaging slips. The ancient gods live here all year round and had honed their own way to send messages. The strange power waves that emerged in all directions were distress signals from the clansmen of the ancient god clan. Once an SOS was sent, clansmen within a radius of thousands of miles would sense it. "Let's go. Hurry up," Jian Wushuang growled. The three of them instantly streaked toward the battlefield. At the same time, Jian Wushuang put on a full-faced silver monster mask. After all, his identity was somewhat special, and it was better not to be recognized by the experts from the firmament territory. He was dressed in a black robe and carrying a long sword. Under the mask, his sharp eyes shone with a flicker of killing intent. The three magnates of the firmament territory. Cloud Sea Asgard, the Immortal Dynasty, and the Boundless Demon Sect. 100 years ago, you compelled me to this misery and forced me to be stuck in this eternal zone. Big brother Jiu Qiong also died for me. I have remembered all these clearly. Now, it's time for you to pay back." Jian Wushuang was murderous. After a while, the three of them arrived at their destination where a fierce fight had broken out. A silver-armored ancient god and a copper-armored ancient god were battling with three human experts from the firmament territory. There were 2 men and 1 woman. Jian Wushuang had even met before one of them. "It's him." Jian Wushuang stared at the white-haired elder among the 3 human experts. Although they did not know each other, Jian Wushuang had met this elder 100 years ago before entering the Eternal Zone. This old guy comes from the Immortal Dynasty, so might be the other 2 experts. Thinking of this, an overwhelming killing intent gushed out from his eyes. Chapter 745, I will deal with the 3 guys. 3 versus 2. No wonder our clansmen can't resist them. Jiu Mion and Jiu Wu were furious. They were about to make a move, but Jian Wushuang was blocking them. "I'll deal with the 3 guys." Jian Wushuang spoke. "Sir." Jiu Mion and Jiu Wu looked at the young man in shock. "Just watch," Jian Wushuang replied. He drew his long sword and charged forward. "What should we do?" Jiu Mion and Jiu Wu looked at each other, debating whether to go or not. They had to obey Jian Wushuang's orders, but they also needed to protect him. "Don't worry," Jiu Wu said solemnly. "Jian Wushuang is from the ancient god palace, he should be pretty strong. He wants to fight alone, let him do it. We only need to ensure his safety." "Okay." Jiu Mion nodded. "Let's be prepared. If he's in danger, we'll save him." They had made up their minds. The 3 Eternal Realm experts from the Immortal Dynasty were fighting fiercely with the 2 clansmen from the ancient god clan. The 3 experts were holding all the cards. If they finished the 2 clansmen off, they would take all the pool water from baptismal pool. They noticed that 3 figures were quickly approaching. Although Jian Wushuang and his clansmen were not ancient gods, the 3 Eternal Realm experts recognized that the newcomers were not experts from the firmament territory. Shit. Demon gods. They're the demon god reinforcements. It hasn't been that long since we launched the attack. They've come so soon. Their faces fell. They knew they would be unable to deal with another 3 demon gods. "We have no choice but to retreat," the purple-clothed lady said through gritted teeth. "Okay." The other 2 experts nodded in agreement. They were just about to leave. What happened next was totally unexpected. They saw 2 of the demon gods stop suddenly. The other one, wearing a silver mask, dove forward. The attacker did not have a strong aura. 1-star demon god. The 3 Eternal Realm experts were astonished. They were familiar with demon gods. They had learned about their ranking system. In their eyes, a 1-star demon god was only comparable to a divine realm expert. They could not understand why a 1-star demon god would charge out and attack 3 Eternal Realm experts while the other 2 2-star demon gods stood by. The silver-robed man asked with a frown, "What are the other 2 demon gods doing?" "Whatever, they are courting death. Don't blame us." "Luo Ao, go kill the 1-star demon god," the white-haired elder ordered. "Okay." The silver-robed man nodded and charged forward. He appeared in front of his opponent and thrust at him with his long black spear. Chew! The spear lashed out at an amazing speed like a viper taking its prey by surprise. It caused a swirl to appear before Jian Wushuang, who immediately sensed a surge of killing power sweeping over. A hint of such power was enough to kill a superior divine realm expert. Upon seeing this, Jian Wushuang showed a frosty smile. "Over the past 100 years, I've sparred with numerous ancient gods, including 2-star ancient gods many times, but I've never fought against an Eternal Realm expert. You're the first one. Let me see how powerful you are." Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. When the long spear was about to touch his robe, he moved and waved his emperor sword. The strike looked simple, but it was exquisite indeed. Jian Wushuang had given full play to the Star River secret skill and increased his offensive power by 33 times. Boom! A loud boom rang out just before the long spear was knocked away. Jian Wushuang attacked again, stabbing at his opponent's throat. So fast! Luo Ao paled. He was shocked by the young man's quick reaction. He did not expect that Jian Wushuang would strike back so quickly with such brilliant swordsmanship. Humph! He snorted. A mighty spiritual power gushed out from his body. A huge powerful palm materialized in front of him, slapping toward Jian Wushuang. Shua! The moment the long sword crashed into the palm of spiritual power, brilliant sword light radiated, causing the giant hand to shatter into pieces. What? Luo Ao was stupefied. This boy is just a 1-star demon god. How could his strength be so amazing? Luo Ao, what are you doing? Kill him. Quick! The white-haired elder shouted. The 3 experts were at a disadvantage now. Although Jiyu Mion and Jiyu Wu had not made a move, the 2 demon gods also posed a threat to them, so the outsiders wanted to leave as soon as possible. Bastard! Luo Ao's eyes blazed with anger as he lashed out. Go to hell, boy! A roar reverberated through the area. Demon Heart Spear Technique. His long spear shot out, causing a harsh sound of piercing air. Like a huge spiraling awl, it darted violently toward Jian Wushuang. Chapter 746. 6 Steps of the Eternal Realm. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his head and watched the awl draw closer. Faced with this powerful strike, Jian Wushuang just smiled faintly. He casually brandished his emperor sword. Luo Ao snarled. His eyes were scarlet. Go to hell! The Demon Heart Spear technique was Luo Ao's trump card. It consisted of 9 moves. Although Luo Ao had only mastered the first 3 moves, the 3 strikes were extremely powerful. But, clang, clang, clang. 3 continuous crashes echoed through the sky. Jian Wushuang only took 3 steps back before he regained his balance. Luo Ao was stunned. How is this possible? Normally, even an expert at step 1 of the Eternal Realm would need to use full strength to resist his strongest moves. However, the boy, a 1-star ancient god, had withstood 3 strikes with ease. Is that your best move? Jian Wushuang spoke. Heh. Luo Ao was shocked. He nodded subconsciously. Jian Wushuang sighed. You're too weak. What did you say? Luo Ao's face darkened. A Divine Realm expert dared to humiliate him, an Eternal Realm expert. Although he had just reached the Eternal Realm, he was stronger than ordinary Divine Realm experts. The secret skill you displayed was good, but your spear principle is poor. You haven't condensed the spear heart, so you can't give full play to this skill. 6 steps of the Eternal Realm. You might not reach step 1 of the Eternal Realm, Jian Wushuang said in a flat, toneless voice. Eternal Realm experts were considered to be supreme existences in the firmament territory. However, their strength differed. There was a yawning gap between the strongest and the weakest. It was said that Xianxia was the most powerful Eternal Realm expert and all the other Eternal Realm experts were in awe of him. If an Eternal Realm expert had a full understanding of the 9 occults of a Tao, he would have an opportunity to break through the Eternal Realm. In other words, all Eternal Realm experts had fully comprehended an origin Tao. And even if some of them had mastered more than one origin Tao, their strength would not increase. Their battle strength depended on their comprehension of weapon Tao. The Eternal Realm was comprised of 6 steps. It was equivalent to the 6 levels of weapon Tao. Each level brought a dramatic increase to their strength. Furthermore, it caused their sword or saber techniques to metamorphosize so that their overall strength surged. Jian Wushuang had reached level 2 of Sword Heart, so he was able to make a breakthrough to step 2 of the Eternal Realm. Luo Ao did not possess the Spear Heart, which meant he had not reached step 1 of the Eternal Realm. He was at the bottom of the Eternal Realm experts. I haven't condensed the Spear Heart, but I'm still an Eternal Realm expert, far superior to you at the Divine Realm. Luo Ao was infuriated by Jian Wushuang's words. He attacked again with his long spear. Jian Wushuang looked at his opponent with scorn. Then he made a move. His sword heart shook slightly, activating 10% of its power. Now his strength had reached a new level. Secret skill Twilight. A cold sword light flashed across the sky like a shooting star. Over the last 100 years, Jian Wushuang had made unprecedented progress. He had invented numerous secret skills, such as the Netherworld, which had unmatched offensive power. Twilight targeted speed. It unleashed the fastest strikes among the numerous sword moves that Jian Wushuang had invented. The sword light flashed by ruthlessly. Luo Ao looked ferocious, his eyes blazing with fury. But the next moment, he had no head. The Eternal Realm expert was killed in a single strike. What? Upon seeing this, the other 2 Eternal Realm experts, who were busy fighting the 2 demon gods, were petrified. Jiyu Mian and Jiyu Wu also widened their eyes. They could not believe what had just happened. With a look of indifference, Jian Wushuang waved his hand. He took Luo Ao's interspatial ring and then charged toward the other experts. Oh, no. Shit. The white-haired elder and purple-clothed lady were terrified. The 2 demon gods had been difficult to deal with, but now there came another. Run, the woman shouted. I don't believe it, the elder roared. He did not try to escape, rather he turned to dive toward Jian Wushuang and slashed at him with his broadsword. Chapter 747. The Mind-Controlling Secret Skill. It seemed as if the void had been hacked open, and a raspy wind-breaking sound broke in. The sound blasted into Jian Wushuang's face, but he stood rooted in place like an unshakable mountain. This guy has already produced his saber heart. He is much more powerful than Luo Ao. Yet, he has merely accomplished step 1 of the Eternal Realm. Jian Wushuang murmured to himself. He hoisted his Emperor sword up in the air, and half of the sword heart power from his sea of consciousness was instantly released. When he killed Luo Ao, he had only used 1/10 of his sword heart power. But now, he was directly unleashing half of its power. Secret skill, the Netherworld. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone. He thrust out his Emperor sword without mercy, casting out his strongest offensive secret skill. Whoosh! A bright sword light shot out. In an instant, the climate changed drastically. The void in his vicinity started to tremble. Boom! A deafening rumble suddenly broke out. The saber that the white-haired elder was holding was also an eternal weapon. He used it to its full capacity. In addition, the move he performed was his strongest saber move. This attack should have been overbearing. However, when it collided with Jian Wushuang's sword, light splat. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He lost his balance and was forced to take a few steps back under the impact of the bombarding power. I'm at step 1 of the eternal realm. How could I, a divine realm expert, get crushed by a demon god? And he hasn't even turned into a demon god. The elder was shocked, unable to believe what had just happened. What the elder did not know was that though Jian Wushuang was merely at the level of divine realm expert, the skill he had practiced was the defiant heavenly creation skill. He had a flawless foundation, and his explosive force was stronger than any divine realm expert of the same rank to begin with. And most importantly, he also practiced the Star River secret skill of the ancient god clan and had reached the 11th level, so his power amplitude was 33 times higher than most people. As for most experts in the eternal realm, such as the white-haired elder and Luo Ao, their power amplitude could reach 10 times that of others, at most. Despite the fact that Jian Wushuang was only a divine realm expert, in light of his pure power, he would absolutely not lose to anyone in the eternal realm. He might even overpower them. Besides, Jian Wushuang had already reached level 2 of sword heart cultivation. He had stayed at this level for 20 years, which meant he had long since climbed to the peak of level 2. The only thing he lacked was comprehension of the origin Tao. But he was only a few inches away. The gap was easy to narrow. In other words, putting aside his current swordsmanship and secret skills, his battle strength was at step 2 of the eternal realm. If he went all out and transformed into a gold-armored ancient god, he wouldn't even fear step 3 eternal realm experts. This was the strength Jian Wushuang had attained in the eternal zone through 100 years of earnest cultivation and countless fierce battles. A divine realm expert, without transforming into a gold-armored ancient god, he was already on par with someone at the peak of step 2 of the eternal realm. This was incredible for a human being. However, given that he had practiced the heavenly creation skill, his current phase, the deification realm, was a phase in which his battle strength could be limitless. His battle strength could go completely beyond normal people's expectations. Accordingly, when dealing with the white-haired elder at step 1 of the eternal realm, even without employing his full power, he could still butcher him easily with only half of his strength. Run, quickly run. When the purple-clothed lady saw this scenario, she was thunderstruck as well. She let out a series of shouts and fled to the void. Run! The white-haired elder also lost his composure, rushed to escape. Although the strength Jian Wushuang just demonstrated utterly astonished them, they still had some assurance about making a successful flee. After all, though men from the ancient god clan tended to excel at using power and defending themselves, they were not good at moving quickly. And their survival skills were also less brilliant. The two fleeing were both from the eternal realm of the immortal dynasty. Their survival skills were quite good. Actually, there were many experts from various sects in the firmament territory who possessed unique survival skills. Precisely for this reason, the two had dared to step into the eternal zone. Even if they bumped into a demon god that they had no way of defeating, they still had the chance to run away. However, these two had obviously underestimated Jian Wushuang's capabilities. Escape? Can you really escape? Jian Wushuang bellowed. Killing intent was raging in his eyes. If the experts who had broken into the eternal zone were from the top sects, perhaps Jian Wushuang would have had mercy and left his opponents a way out. After all, in the battle a century ago, the top sects had not attacked him. If they had not been under the leadership of the three magnates, the whole thing would have been different. As long as I can, I won't let any of the three magnates' men get out of here alive, Jian Wushuang said, fixing his cold eyes on the white-haired elder who had just fought against him. Between the two of you, I can only kill one. And I pick you. Jian Wushuang held out his palm and threw a handprint in the direction of the fleeing elder. A shot of strange energy rose up. Ancient God's secret skill, mind-controlling. Buzz and odd energy flooded out, immediately flinging itself at the elder as he was running for his life. The elder noticed the weird energy oozing out from Jian Wushuang's body. What the hell? The elder's expression altered slightly. He had no idea what this odd energy was. but it caught up with him in no time and enveloped him completely. The elder turned pale with fright. He attempted to react, but a fit of fierce pain gripped him. This pain was so strong that he could not bear it. He let out an involuntary wail and instantly stopped in his tracks. He stood in the void, his hands clutching his head. His mind stopped working. Of course, the pain he felt only lasted a split second. Soon, he regained his senses. He looked up. A jet of chilling sword light was millimeters from his neck. The tip of the sword was sinking into this throat. No! He only had time to let out his last cry before Jian Wushuang chopped his head off, as if cutting a piece of paper. The sharp power concealed in the sword edge penetrated his body and shattered his life core. Once the life core was crushed, even an expert in the eternal realm would die on the spot. With one hand on his emperor sword, Jian Wushuang watched the already dead elder fall to the ground with a note of aloofness. It's a pity I'm still in a relatively low phase. The mind-controlling secret skill I cast only influenced him for a second. If I was in the same phase as him, his mind might have collapsed directly. Or maybe I would have killed him simply with the mind-controlling secret skill. Chapter 748. An Acquaintance. The mind-controlling secret skill was one of the ancient god clan's top 3 secret skills. It aimed to target the opponent's mind. If one practiced this secret skill to its fullest, he might be able to control others' minds. But apparently, Jian Wushuang's present phase was too low. He had just learned the rudiments of this secret skill. Thus, even though he cast it with all his strength, he could only disrupt the mind of the white-haired elder for a moment. But thanks to this moment, Jian Wushuang had seized the chance and destroyed him for good. Now, he had killed 2 of the 3 Eternal Realm of Immortal Dynasty experts. Only one had escaped by fluke, the purple-clothed lady. Your Excellency! Jiyu Mian, Jiyu Wu, and the 2 clansmen who guarded the baptismal pool approached Jian Wushuang, their faces frightened and awe-stricken. The last time they saw Jian Wushuang, he had only been at the 1-star level. They had taken word of his strength with a grain of salt. Although they knew Jian Wushuang was from the ancient god palace and Jiyu Hang had once told them in person that Jian Wushuang's strength was stronger than most of the clansmen, they still found it hard to believe because none of them had ever witnessed his true strength. But now, seeing Jian Wushuang strike with their own eyes, they did not dare to doubt his strength anymore. Oh my god! That outsider was really quite powerful. If it had been me dueling with him, even if I turned into an ancient god and went all out, I could at most suppress his power a bit. But he didn't hold himself together long under Jian Wushuang's attack. And at last, he was killed, wasn't he? And Jian Wushuang did all this without transforming into an ancient god, right? Jiyu Mian and Jiyu Wu voiced their admiration in hushed tones. They were both 2-star silver-armored ancient gods. Their strength was quite impressive, almost rivaling human combatants at Step 2 of the Eternal Realm. Subduing the elder out in the open would be a piece of cake. But to actually kill him, that would be impossible. But Jian Wushuang had done it, without even transforming into an ancient god. Jiyu Mian, Jiyu Wu. Jian Wushuang turned to look at them. From now on, the 2 of you can stop following me. You should go on your own adventures. What? Their expressions quickly altered. Jiyu Hang had ordered them to follow Jian Wushuang for all time. The reason Jiyu Hang ordered you guys to accompany me was to protect me, Jian Wushuang began. Now, as you witnessed, I am much stronger than you. I can travel in the Xianxia mountains by myself. If I actually fall into a dangerous situation, you 2 won't be much help. You might even be an extra burden. Jiyu Mian and Jiyu Wu exchanged dismal looks, and both gave a wry smile. They knew that he was only telling the truth. Right then, that's settled. I'll take off first. Jian Wushuang said briskly. Then, he left. Jiyu Mian and Jiyu Wu stood there, watching Jian Wushuang's silhouette fade into the distance. Jian Wushuang was walking alone in the Xianxia mountains. He suddenly came to a halt and looked back. Seeing that Jiyu Mian and Jiyu Wu were not following him, a hearty smile curled on his lips. One day I'll leave the Eternal Zone and go back to the Firmament territory. If these two from the ancient god clan keep tailing me, how am I supposed to get out of here? He said, shaking his head. At this precise moment, he sensed something weird and looked out toward the end of the void ahead. A vague black dot appeared. Is someone there? Could it be an ancient god or an expert from the firmament territory? Jian Wushuang was intrigued. He headed towards the black dot. As he approached the black dot, its true appearance gradually became clear. Is that him? Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly brightened, and a smile spread across his face. This smile was icy cold, as piercing as a blade. He quickly sped up and flew straight towards the black figure. He could see a young man carrying a saber on his back. He was flying slowly, his eyes cold and lofty. His clothes were a bit tattered, his face looked a little glum. It was obvious that he had just had a fierce fight. It was Wu Dao. A century prior, he had been a disciple of the Cloud Sea Asgard. But now, he was an elder. Damn demon gods, they are so tough. Especially the silver-armored demon gods. Wu Dao cursed through gritted teeth as he flew by himself. He had known perfectly that he had just arrived in the Eternal Realm and could not face the demon gods on his own. Thus, when he entered the Xianxia Mountains, he had immediately joined two other elders of the Cloud Sea Asgard and they had started the journey together. But the three of them had bumped into a group of 4 demon gods, and one of them was a silver-armored demon god. The two sides instantly started to fight. Of course, the 3 elders were no match for the demon gods. They had been forced to flee in panic. But each of them had chosen a different way to escape, and this was why Wu Dao was now traveling all alone in this stretch of void. Those demon gods have built-in advantages. If I come across a copper-armored demon god, it will be very difficult to tackle him on my own. If I run into a silver-armored demon god, all I can do is run away. Wu Dao said thoughtfully. Based on my current circumstances, the first thing I should do is go to the contact station and rejoin the other 2 elders. Just when Wu Dao had made up his mind, a figure suddenly emerged in the void just ahead of him. Is that? Wu Dao widened his eyes and tried to see what it was. His expression became strange. Demon god? A 1-star demon god? Wearing a mask? The 1-star demon god abruptly sped up and hurtled towards him. He noticed that the 1-star demon god's eyes were flickering with a trace of killing intent. You're just a 1-star demon god. How can you kill me? Go to hell. Wu Dao was infuriated. His saber appeared in his hand. Raging killing intent rose up from his body. He charged directly towards the figure. Holding his sword in one hand, Jian Wushuang made a hacking move. He also performed the coordinated 11th level of the Star River secret skill to the extreme. The sword heart in his sea of consciousness unleashed half of its power as well. This move seemed casual, but its power was so overwhelming that even a man at step 1 of the Eternal Realm might not be able to sustain it. Wu Dao also thrust his saber out. He spared no effort in this first strike. A streak of sparkling saber light stretched out. It remained there for a long time before it dispersed. Its power was equally astonishing. Damn you, demon god bastard, your essence blood is mine now. Wu Dao's eyes were scarlet. He had a savage look in his face. Soon, the 2 figures confronted each other in the void. Chapter 749, The Scarlet Eye. Clank. A thunderous clank sounded. Wu Dao's chilling smile suddenly stiffened. In the next moment, his smile was replaced by shock and consternation. He felt a strong force that he had never experienced before pushing him upwards. The saber in his hand was instantly tossed aside in the air. The horrible force landed on his arms and crushed them inch by inch. Then, it spread to his insides. Splat! A stream of blood squirted out from his mouth. His body was thrown backward like a kite with its string cut off. His aura began to thin. He's still alive. Jian Wushuang was slightly taken aback. His attack was no less powerful than the one he'd launched at the white-haired elder. The elder had been at step 1 of the Eternal Realm, but he had been unable to avoid being seriously injured. Wu Dao was way below step 1 of the Eternal Realm. Normally, This attack should be more than enough to kill him. However, it was evident that in spite of Wu Dao's unprecedented severe injuries, his life core was not shattered. An expert in the Eternal Realm would not die as long as his life core was intact. Run! Run for it! Soaked in blood, Wu Dao, whose face was too miserable to look at, regained his balance and stood up. Without hesitation, he wheeled around and fled. You can't escape! Jian Wushuang growled, his face frosty. He started chasing Wu Dao. He was extremely swift, much faster than Wu Dao. Jian Wushuang was not much better than Wu Dao at running. But since Wu Dao was severely injured, there was a serious dent in his speed. Damn it! Jian Wushuang was getting closer and closer. Wu Dao's pale face became even more gloomy. I have to make a move. Wu Dao clenched his teeth, and a stream of blood surged up inside his body. The next moment, 17 figures who looked exactly like Wu Dao jumped out. A total of 18 Wu Daos appeared before Jian Wushuang. Their appearances and aura were exactly the same. It was impossible to tell them apart with the naked eye. They swiftly fled in different directions. They were extraordinarily fast. This move again. Jian Wushuang's pupils contracted. He was not surprised at all. 100 years ago, Wu Dao had walked into his trap, hunted by a gold-armored ancient god. He had cast the same move in order to run for his life. But back then, he could only conjure 8 doppelgangers. Now, he could produce 17. His chance of survival had increased significantly. All 18 figures are exactly the same. Indeed, I cannot distinguish the true one from the others. As long as his original body is alive, it's useless to kill his doppelgangers. What a smart move. Jian Wushuang nodded. He then tittered, unfortunately, it's not going to work on me. Jian Wushuang's face was stony, his eyes transfixed upon the 18 Wu Daos who were running away from him frantically. Between his eyebrows, a scarlet mark emerged. It looked like a vertical crack. It was slowly widening. An eerie blood-red upside-down eye suddenly opened. Secret skill, the Scarlet Eye. A jet of blazing blood-red light shot out of the eye and swept across the 18 figures ahead. It was the Scarlet Eye secret skill, one of the ancient god clan's top 3 secret skills. It was devised to penetrate all sorts of illusions. There's his original body. Jian Wushuang targeted one of the figures. He fixed his eyes on Wu Dao's original body. How can it be? Seeing Jian Wushuang go straight for him without being disturbed by the 17 doppelgangers he'd conjured, Wu Dao lost his poise. How did he see through my original body and doppelgangers? Wu Dao found this utterly inconceivable. A sense of terror came over him. In his entire life, he had only felt this kind of overbearing terror once. It had been during the last fight with Xianxia. Xianxia had grabbed him and taken control of his mind. He had been as horror-stricken then as he was now. Today, he was once again gripped by this terror. You have no way to escape. Jian Wushuang's icy voice sounded in Wu Dao's ears. A huge sword shadow hacked down on him. The sword shadow was so dazzling that Wu Dao had to narrow his eyes. He frantically wielded his saber in an attempt to resist the attack. But, boom! An explosion erupted. Wu Dao's body plummeted downwards like a meteorite. It landed hard on the ground, producing a huge pit that measured 300 meters across. At the center of the huge pit, Wu Dao's body had almost been blasted into pieces. His life core was also damaged, but it had not shattered yet. Wu Dao just lay there, struggling helplessly to get to his feet. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang zoomed in and looked down at him condescendingly. I assume you guys from the Cloud Seers Guard have set up secret assembly sites in the Xianxia Mountains. Where are they? Jian Wushuang asked. When experts from assorted sects of the Firmament Territory entered the Eternal Zone, they often turned up at a certain place in the Xianxia Mountains. Their messaging slips could not function in the Eternal Zone, so the sects circled out secret assembly sites to exchange messages. Humph, you really think I'll tell you? Wu Dao sneered, his eyes already filled with despair. Oh! Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. You think as long as you don't tell me I can't figure it out. Wu Dao, you just made a breakthrough and reached the Eternal Realm. This is your first time in the Xianxia Mountains. Unlike other experts from the Cloud Sea Asgards who have traveled the Xianxia Mountains several times, you're completely ignorant of the environment and topography of the Xianxia Mountains. So, you must be carrying the map the Cloud Sea Asgard drew for you. The Cloud Sea Asgard's secret assembly sites ought to be marked on the map, am I right? Jian Wushuang smiled blandly. Wu Dao was thoroughly terrified. How? How do you know this? How come you know my name? You know I'm from the Cloud Sea Asgard? And you even know I just entered the Eternal Realm. Are you a demon god? No, the demon god clan couldn't have learned these things. Who on earth are you? Lying on his back, Wu Dao barked desperately, staring at Jian Wushuang. Looking down at Wu Dao, Jian Wushuang smirked coldly, slowly took down his mask, and unveiled a handsome but stern face. Chapter 750, Secret Assembly Sites. You're... Wu Dao's eyes widened. He stared unblinkingly at the face before him. He was too familiar with this face. 100 years ago, precisely because of the owner of this face, he had successfully stepped into the Eternal Zone. Jian Wushuang. Wu Dao growled in a note of disbelief. No way, how could it be you? You're supposed to be dead. You should have died a long time ago. How is this possible? How could this be? He was at a total loss. To his shock, this exceptional genius who he thought had already died 100 years ago was reappearing in front of him today. And he had become an incredibly powerful expert. It should be noted that a century earlier, though Jian Wushuang was an exceptional genius, he had been too young to reach any realms beyond the skyscraping realm. At that time, Jian Wushuang might have been able to put up a fight against him by exercising all his skills and means. But over the past 100 years, Wu Dao had gained a remarkable breakthrough. He had entered the Eternal Realm and crossed the threshold of being an expert. Once he stepped into the Eternal Realm, his strength soared. 100 years ago, Wu Dao had been quite confident that he could kill Jian Wushuang with a casual slap. But now, the Jian Wushuang standing before him had cornered him with invincible strength, leaving him not a single chance to fight back. He was too powerful. The strength Jian Wushuang displayed was too powerful. He is already at step 2 of the Eternal Realm, perhaps even higher than that. He is merely a divine realm expert. How could he be so powerful? And it only took him 100 years to achieve this. Wu Dao mumbled to himself, his eyes growing out of focus. Wu Dao, do you still remember when you, Dao Mai, and Long Dao joined hands and attempted to kill me 100 years ago? Jian Wushuang looked down at Wu Dao and asked with cold viciousness. Back then, I was too weak. I had to resort to the power of the demon gods to deal with you guys, mere disciples of divine realm experts. But now, it's different. Think about what the 3 Magnetess Cloud Sea Asgard, the Immortal Dynasty, and the Boundless Demons sected to me 100 years ago. Now, I'm going to make them pay for what they did at a cost 10 times or even 100 times higher. And destroying you is just the start. You're the first. It won't take long before I send more experts from the Cloud Sea Asgard to keep you company in hell. Jian Wushuang shook his hand, and a violent force pressed down on Wu Dao. Wu Dao had long since lost the ability to resist his attacks. He had no choice but to allow this force to destroy him, to crumble his life core and crash his body into dust. Ho, ho! Wu Dao's eyes were wide open, filled with terror and rage. Blood was trickling down from the corners of his mouth. It was unbelievable that the 3 magnates should have provoked such a dreadful monster in the battle 100 years ago. How much he wished he could tip off the 3 magnates, warning them to dispatch top-ranking experts and do this monster in before he could incur real disasters upon them. However, he had no chance to do so. As death descended upon him, Wu Dao caught a vague sight of the kind of outrageous mayhem Jian Wushuang was about to cause in the Xianxia Mountains and the Firmament territory. In the beginning, Jian Wushuang's battle strength had merely scraped the level of a superior divine realm expert. But now, just 100 years later, he was already in the eternal realm and could kill anyone as easily as slaying a chicken. In another century, or 2 centuries, or a millennium, what kind of level would he reach? Unfortunately, since message tokens were useless in the eternal zone, his words obviously could not be spread. After destroying Wu Dao, Jian Wushuang picked up the interspatial ring that Wu Dao left. His mind racing, he started to rifle through its contents. A moment later, he found what he was looking for. He lifted a hand and a token appeared in his palm. It was the token carrying the records of a map, the map of the Xianxia Mountains. Just as Jian Wushuang expected, Wu Dao had reached the eternal realm not long ago, and this was the first time he had traveled to the Xianxia Mountains. Accordingly, the map he carried was a map of the Xianxia Mountains, on which several of the Cloud Sea Guard's secret assembly sites were marked out. One of the secret assembly sites lay not far from the region where Jian Wushuang was standing. It was actually in the direction that Wu Dao had been heading. This Wu Dao looked sort of shabby. Apparently, he just went through a huge fight. I suppose he got separated from the other Cloud Sea Guard experts. If nothing else, he was going to rejoin them at one of the assembly sites. However, halfway through his journey, he happened to bump into me. Jian Wushuang gave a cold laugh. If Wu Dao had been heading for a secret assembly site, that meant other experts were waiting or about to arrive at the assembly site. If Jian Wushuang went there, he was likely to run into other experts from the Cloud Sea Guard. The Cloud Sea Guard. Jian Wushuang's eyes were shining with excitement. He stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. Well, since I figured this one out first, I'll make it my first target. After taking a short break, Jian Wushuang set off straight towards the Cloud Sea Guard's secret assembly site. 2 hours later, he arrived at a very ordinary canyon in the Xianxia Mountains. At first, the canyon had been unnamed. But since the Cloud Sea Guard had made it one of their secret assembly sites, it was given a name, the Cloud Canyon. Jian Wushuang did not descend down into the canyon directly from the high void. Instead, he strode across a forest and came to stand on the top of a stone wall. He gazed down at the canyon, taking in everything. A black-robed woman was sitting cross-legged on a boulder in the canyon, quietly waiting for someone. She was quite vigilant, casting her eyes on her surroundings from time to time. Jian Wushuang had never met this woman. She was not one of the ones who had entered the Eternal Zone last time. But despite the long distance between them, Jian Wushuang could still feel her rich aura. This told him that she was definitely stronger than Wu Dao. There are many ancient god clansmen in the Xianxia Mountains, and they are all very tough and powerful. If experts from the Cloud Sea Guard want to take the baptismal pool, they'll have to attack in groups of 3 or 4. Counting this woman and Wu Dao, I've only met 2 of them. So, that means there are more experts coming this way, Jian Wushuang muttered. The woman is alone. I should attack her now. Otherwise, once the others arrive, it'll be much harder to kill them all. I'd better kill her first, and then stay in the Cloud Canyon and wait for more stupid hares to crash into a tree stump. His mind made up, Jian Wushuang's Emperor sword emerged in his hand. He slinked towards the canyon without making a sound.